attended and belonged with many organizations that claim to change your life, change your attitude about yourself, and this is totally different. I feel like I can apply it now. I didn't know how to before. Robert Allen made me see that you have to get out of your comfort zone to attain any of your goals. It's easy, it's simple, it's doable, and I'm going to do it.
I was impressed with Robert Allen because of his sincerity, and he has this trust. I just trust Robert Allen. I just trust him.
The most important principle that I learned at the Robert Allen seminar here in San Diego was that you need to keep a balance in how you take a look at doing your investments. And I also learned some other things about personal ways to manage finance, ways to handle tax-related items, and a number of other important issues that aren't just strictly related to real estate. That was an added surprise. I wasn't expecting the seminar to go into those areas in the depth that they did, but it was a real treat, and I really am very happy I attended the seminar.
Certainly, my child, who's 8 years old, can use much of this information, and it's going to be just wonderful to impart this information to her, because I feel so good about myself that I'll make her feel better about herself.
And I've never heard of Robert Allen before, and I received his letter a couple of months ago for the wealth training, and something inside of me said, I need to do this. And I took the letter, and I thought I didn't have the money, so I borrowed the money. And I came out here and stretched myself more than I'd ever done before, taking a big risk, telling my friends, and they were saying, oh, what are you doing? You know, I can't believe you're going to be doing this. And so I decided to go ahead and take the risk and come out regardless of what anybody else was saying. So I came out to the program of the wealth training and met Robert Allen for the first time, and learned how to, in the wealth training, learned how to build wealth, either short-term wealth building or long-term wealth building, how to create wealth, how to save wealth, how to protect your assets, how to protect that wealth. And not only that, the wealth training gave me something inside of myself to reach down and see the wealth that was in myself, to help me achieve the goals and dreams and aspirations that I have, that I've had, that everyone has.
Hello everybody, my name is Robert Allen. How are you? Great. All right, we're going to be talking today about creating wealth all day long. We're going to talk about how to make money flow into your bank accounts faster than they've ever flowed before. Does anybody disagree with that? Well, how many of you like to have some more of that? Raise your hand and say, yes, Bob? Yes, Bob. Absolutely. Well, that's what I want to do here today for you. And I'm going to take some experiences that I've had over the last 20 years of teaching people how to create lifetime streams of income. I'm going to download that into your brain here today, so that as you leave here today, you go out the rest of your life, you'll be able to do what you really want to do, create the kind of wealth you've always wanted to create for yourself, achieve the kind of success, because starting today, that's going to happen. Now, what we're going to talk about is some of my experiences on how to create wealth. I've been teaching wealth for a lot of years. I graduated from college in 1974. I graduated in the 1/3 of my class that made the top 2/3 possible. And I want you to know that I didn't start off to be rich. I just started off to be financially independent, but I didn't know quite how to do that. And most people in our country don't know how to do that because they're not trained. Did you ever go to a class in all your college education and all your high school or elementary education that talks about how to create wealth? Did anybody go to a class like that? Wealth 101? How many went to Wealth 101? None of you? Who teaches us how to manage our money, how to take care of our finances? Does anybody teach us? But where do we learn it then?
Trial and error.
Yeah, trial and error. We learn it from our parents, most of whom didn't have it. We learn it from our school teachers, most of whom don't believe you should have it. And therefore, none of us learns how, in the greatest country on the face of the planet, how to create wealth. There's no class on it. Nobody teaches it. Well, we're going to learn that class here today, because I think everybody should learn the fundamentals. And when we're finished with today, you're going to agree with me, I am absolutely certain, that every school child in America should be learning what we're going to be teaching you here today. And that's why we're actually creating this program, so that anybody can watch it and learn it. In a very few short hours, you can make dramatic improvements in the way you think about money, the way you control your money, the way you handle money, the way you spend money, and all those other kinds of things, all right? Now, who am I, and how can I make these kinds of claims? When I say graduated in college and I decided I wanted to become financially independent, so I went right into investing in real estate because nobody would hire me. Since they wouldn't hire me, the point was I had to create it on my own. I had to talk to people who had done it before. So how do you find people who have done it before? And ask them and work with them to create it. A fellow I was working with in one of my church organizations had created a lot of wealth through real estate. He was an extremely wonderful individual, and I loved him. And I went to him and I said, Paul, teach me what you know about real estate and about creating wealth. And he took me under his wing and he taught me a lot of the things I'm going to be teaching you here today. Every one of us needs a mentor, somebody to just kind of guide us along a few stumbling steps as we get started. And that's what he did for me. Then I started to buy some property, invested, and pretty soon I had 4 or 5, 6 different properties and more, and they grew and grew. Had a few failures along the way. Everybody does. You fall on your face every once in a while. And then I figured it out, and that's when I wrote my first book, Nothing Down. It became a #1 New York Times bestseller. And in order to publicize that book, I said a very bold statement. I said, send me to any city, take away my wallet, give me a $100 bill, and in 72 hours I'll buy an excellent piece of real estate using none of my own money. Well, the LA Times heard that statement. Actually, it was printed right there in a full-page ad in their paper. And when they saw it, they had to approve the ad. And there was somebody in the legal department says, can he really do this? And they said, well, we think so. And they said, well, you better challenge him to make sure that he can. So they called me on the phone, sent an LA Times reporter to the Los Angeles airport, and they, agreed upon time. I showed up there early in the morning, and the LA Times reporter handed me an airline ticket, and we flew to San Francisco. That's the city they chose. Dropped me in that city, took away my wallet, gave me 5 crisp $20 bills, and 57 hours later, I had bought 6 pieces of real estate, over $600,000 worth of property, and proved once and for all that anybody can go into a city and having, just basic knowledge about creating wealth in real estate can buy property with little or no money down. To that point, it was kind of like breaking the 4-minute mile. Nobody really believed that it could be done. Then I wrote my second book, which is called Creating Wealth. It became also a New York Times #1 bestseller. The challenge I did for that one was send me to any unemployment line. Let me select someone who's out of work and discouraged. In 2 days' time, I'll teach them the secrets of wealth. And there are secrets. And in 90 days, they'll be back on their feet with $5,000 cash in the bank, never to set foot in an unemployment line again. We went to St. Louis, Missouri. They dropped me right there in front of the unemployment office. I walked right inside to talk to people who were literally on unemployment. It was the scariest experience I ever had in my life because I wasn't familiar with that environment, frankly. I don't like to be unemployed. I just don't want to get anywhere close to that area. But I wanted to prove that anybody, no matter who they are, can create wealth from no matter where they are. Because a lot of people, when I did my challenge in San Francisco, they said, well, Bob can do it. He's got an MBA degree. He's got a master's in business, which didn't mean anything, frankly. Yeah, he's experienced it before. He's bought raw property before. But what about somebody who's never done it before? And so we went to the unemployment lines and picked 3 people, Mary, Philip, and Karen, and Nora, and pulled them right off the lines and taught them for 2 full days. A lot of the information I'm going to be teaching here today. Actually, you're going to learn here today in this one day magnitudes more information than I knew back in the middle 80s. When I taught those people in the unemployment lines. So this is going to be much better than they received. In fact, in a less period of time, they went off to make their fortune, and all of them did very well, created $5,000 cash in their 90 days, and off they went to create their long-term goals, which is what you're going to do too. When I did my 3rd book, when the challenge came out, I wrote a whole book about that experience. It was a very powerful book for me. I went on to the Regis Philbin show. How many of you heard of Regis before? Regis and Kathy Lee. They challenged me to come on their show in skeptical New York City to pull somebody out of their studio audience, somebody who wanted to achieve financial freedom in a short period of time. The audience was about this size, frankly. Anybody that was in that audience could have been selected to come right on the show with Regis and myself and Kathy Lee. And well, let me see. If you were in that audience, how many of you would like to come on up on the Regis and Kathy Lee show in front of everybody and let me teach you how to... Yeah, well, that's what happened. That's what happened. Pat Watson was sitting right over where Roland was sitting. And she says, I want it. And she was excited. She was an African-American woman from Brooklyn. She came right on the show in front of millions of people. And we said, well, what do you want? What's your goal? What do you really want to achieve? And she said, well, I'd just like to get out of Brooklyn if we could just start there and then figure out. We'll just do the next, one step at a time. She, in the next 90 days, went into Brooklyn, bought a property. She'd never done that before, made $20,000 in a 90-day period of time, and she was excited. We came back on the show and talked about it. In my teaching with people all around the United States in the last 20 years, there have been literally thousands of millionaires created from what I'm going to be teaching you here today, tomorrow, and the next day. So I want you to know that I have done this before. I've had lots of experience. I've had a lot of ups and downs in my own experience. I've probably made more money than this whole entire audience combined. I've also lost more money than all of this whole audience combined. I am absolutely certain of that. And so I know a lot from personal experience, both the ups and the downs, of how this process works. And I want to teach you how to avoid as many downs as you possibly can and have as many ups as possible. We'll be talking about what I call winning the money game here together, you and I. There is a game. There are rules. If you learn those rules, you win. And if you don't learn those rules, you lose. And basically, the rules are pretty simple. Maybe some of you are like this cartoon that I saw the other day. It says, according to your latest figures, if you retired today, you could live very, very comfortably until about 2 p.m. tomorrow. That's the way it is for most people in this country. And you know what? It's a tragedy because you don't have to do anything difficult to create lifetime streams of income. And when I told you earlier about creating a multi-million-dollar net worth, some of you went, ooh, that's kind of a big figure in your mind. But frankly, you can do that. Anybody sitting in this audience, on a couple of dollars a day. Most of us don't teach us this stuff. No, but we just don't learn it. But just a few dollars a day, you don't even have to do anything fancy. You just have to figure out in a few short minutes today, I'm going to show you how to do that, to take just a couple of extra dollars out of your day, to divert out of your life and to put it into right places where it can grow. So over a period of time, a long period of time, it can create a multi-million-dollar net worth for you. And most of us really don't know how to do that. You know, you just have to take out of your day one of those Starbucks, mocha cappuccino double frappe lattes. You know, if you just miss that once a day and put that $2-3 that you would spend there into your long-term financial future. Anybody in America can do this. And they don't have to be business people. You don't have to be money-grubbing, rich kind of people either, you know, those kind of people you read in the newspapers. You can be just ordinary, traditional people. Why all of us aren't multimillionaires is a tragedy, because we all could be, very, very simply, very, very easily, actually. So these are some of the things that I'm hopefully going to be able to teach you here today. There's a mindset out there that all of us are really trying to learn when it comes to wealth. And matter of fact, if you have the right mindset, then you tap into this, you know, the flow of it. And if you don't have the right mindset, they always seem to be outside the flow of it. So, how much money do you save? Absolutely. It's absolutely essential. If you're not saving any money, you're basically saying you don't want to be wealthy. Now, 5 years ago or 10, 15 years ago, for me, I didn't care about those kinds of things. See, I was just making money so fast that I didn't really look at it very carefully. I just thought to myself, you know, I can create wealth anytime I want to. I'll just go out and make some more money. I'll start a new business, or I'll buy another piece of real estate. And I didn't look at these factors like saving money. This has become, of course, more in vogue over the last 5 years as baby boomers are beginning to change their whole attitude about wealth. We weren't taught how to do it, but we've learned through life that there are certain habits that you have to have. And saving was one that I did not have for most of my adult life. It's a habit that I do have today, and it's absolutely critical. Every one of your children should be taught how to do that particular process. You see, when you ask the question, why do so few people win at the money game? It's because most of them have not followed these rules. If you look at our country today, we find that the poverty line is about $10,000 worth of family income. But 20% of us live below that poverty line. I think probably in San Diego County it's probably more than that, because it takes a lot more money to live here. From $10,000 to $50,000 worth of income, 67% of the American population earns between $10,000 and $50,000. So when you add up the 20 and the 67, that's 87% of the population earns less than $50,000, which isn't wealth by any stretch of the imagination. Between $50,000 and $100,000, there's only 10% of the population earn that kind of income. And when it gets above $100,000 to $1 million plus, it's only 3%. The actual figure I say 3%, it's actually 2.4% of the American population earns above $100,000 worth of family income. Now let's see, where do you want to be? If you had your choice, where would you like to find yourself? Hello? Yeah, want to come up here? Okay, good. That's where I want to take you. Like I say, you're not going to have to do a lot of fancy things to get there either. You don't have to be an entrepreneur in order to get up to this level. You just have to change in the way you've been doing your money for your entire life. So the question we want to ask you is, where are you, and where do you want to be, and when do you want to get there? And how are you going to get there? And do you have a plan? And if you don't, well, you got to get a plan. We're going to be teaching you that here before we're finished. Most of us in our life have not been taught what I call the 7 secrets of extremely prosperous people. If you analyze the lives of very successful, very prosperous people, you'll find that they have some things you like and you'll have some things you don't like, but they definitely have some attitudes and some beliefs and some techniques when it comes to making money and how they make and they keep their money. And what I would like to teach you is what I hope every school child in North America learns, that these 7 secrets are very easy to learn, they're very simple to understand, they don't require lots of brains, they just require just a tiny little bit of discipline. And one of the things that most of us have never been taught is the attitude that we have about our money. So what I'd like every one of you in the room is to take out a dollar bill right now, if you would please. Everybody dig into your wallets or purses. Pull out a dollar bill. I'm going to make sure every man, woman, and child in this room has a dollar bill in their hands. So dig one. Oh, you got a $2 Canadian. That's okay. Take out, loonies don't count. Okay? Everybody dig one out. Stand. I've only got a $5 bill. Do you have a dollar bill on you? No? Yeah, I'll change my 1 for a 5. I need to have somebody lend me a dollar bill because I don't want to do what I'm going to do to this $5 bill. Oh, thank you very much. All right, now I want you to realize that you may never see this dollar bill again. But Calvin, I really appreciate it. Colin, excuse me. Is it Colin? So Colin, everybody got your dollar bill in your hand? Everybody get it out. Let's all raise them up here. Let's have a look at them. Snap them together like, let's have some fun with it. Okay, good. Great. Now, does everybody have one? If you don't have one, you'll have to borrow one from your neighbor. And tell your neighbor that you will return it with interest. And the dollar bill that you have taken from them will probably not be in existence in a few minutes here in a second. So, okay, now if you look at the little dollar bill, this is where it all starts from, right? Let's have a look at the front side of it. That's a nice green dollar bill. Those of you who are from Canada don't have your dollar bills any longer. They got colored money. I think they're probably going to be changing our money probably in the next year or so that our money's going to be a little more colored. Here we have Washington on there. Let's look at the back side of it. Over the 1, what does it say? In God we trust. Isn't that a strange statement to find on our money? In the state of, the separation of church and state. And yet in the most important place, we have God right there on our money. And let's see, we got the all-seeing eye above the pyramid there. Here we go. Lots of little pieces of trivia. Now this dollar bill is the foundation of your wealth, so you got to learn how to understand it. Now, what I'm going to do here in front of you, I need to have you watch very closely. Do not try this at home, because this dollar bill is going to disappear right in front of your eyes. And Colin will never see this dollar bill again. We're all going to do what I'm going to show you how to do right now. Okay. Ready? Now, when you get up in the morning, you have a certain number of these flowing through your life. Is that right? Right. And how do they flow through your life? They flow through various jobs and various incomes and various investments that you have, and various streams that you've created for yourself, right? So many of these flow through your life every single day. What you need to learn how to do is to divert a few of these into different places, and if you don't divert them, then you end up with just streams going through your life and no way for them to build up and pile up. This is hard for me to do. This actually pains me to think about what I'm going to have to do with this dollar bill. But since it's not mine, And Colin has so generously contributed this dollar bill. Every day, this is what you do with your dollar bills.
Every day?
Every day. You do this dozens of times a day, sometimes 20, 30 times a day, sometimes 50 times a day. If you were to get your money and to pay for everything you had in cash, in $1 bills, and every time you paid it, you had to rip that dollar bill as you gave it to that next person, you'd understand what I'm talking about. Most of you do your payments electronically, or you'll do it through checks, and therefore you don't get to see what happens to most of your dollar bills. Every time you have a pile of money flow out of your life, a whole nice chunk of that is basically destroyed forever, you know. Of course, this is a magic trick. We're going to be able to put this dollar bill back together again for Colin, aren't we? Okay. Somebody asked if this is illegal. No, as long as it's not something that's done fraudulently, it's not. Just pains you to think about it, doesn't it? Okay. I want you to start your whole financial future with a deep understanding of what you do when you destroy money. Because once it's destroyed, it doesn't come back. And then I'm going to talk to you about what happens when your money really is placed in the right places and starts to grow, and how powerful that can be. Okay, now let's just do a little magic trick here and stick this stuff back together again, right? And make sure that we get it all back here. Okay. There you go. There, it's all back together again, right? Colin, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Okay. Give him a hand for lending that to us, okay? Now, would somebody like to lend me another one because I need to continue with my demonstration? Okay, thank you. Now, I'm not going to do this to yours, Val, actually, but I just want you, all of you, to take your dollar bills. There you go. You're going to grab them with the center of the finger. There is a technique for doing this, all right? And then I'm going to ask you to go like this, okay? And I'm going to ask you to tear it and rip it in half. And I'd like to hear the sound of this to be in your memory for the rest of your life, okay? And I'm going to actually give this back to Val because I want him to have the experience of doing it. Now, we will be passing around the tape in a few minutes, and there'll be a piece of tape that will come back through here in a few minutes. So you can tape this back together again, but I definitely want you to experience the destruction of it, all right? Is everybody ready to do that? And if you'd like me to autograph that dollar bill for you later, kind of remind you of that experience, I'd be glad to do that. Or you can turn to your neighbor and have them autograph it. You can I'd just like to have you to, you know, you go into businesses, don't you? And you see the dollar bill in that, in the frame there, and what it says, what does it usually say on it? This is our first dollar bill. The first dollar bill that flowed through our business. So they've taken that dollar bill out of circulation and basically destroyed it.